All right, let's just jump right in. What you're looking at here, well, it's not just a hoodie. Not really. It's more like a piece of wearable engineering. Seriously, it's not sewn in the traditional sense, it's constructed. And today, we're going to tear it down piece by piece to see exactly how something like this is even possible. You know, this quote from the technical manual, this is the key to the whole thing. It says they're treating the garment as a soft sculpture chassis. So right away, you have to throw out your ideas about sewing patterns and fabric. We're talking about a structural frame, a chassis, that's built to hold up a heavy 3D sculpture. And that really gets to the heart of it, right? What is this? Is it fashion? Or is it pure engineering, a piece of architecture that you just happen to wear? Well, as we're about to see, the answer is this incredible, mind-bending mix of both. So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll talk about wearable architecture. Then we'll uncover the hidden skeleton inside. After that, we'll get into the math of how it defies gravity. Then we'll look at the wild business model behind selling the blueprint. And finally, we'll ask what this all means for the future. Let's get into it. Okay, part one, wearable architecture. This is where we really have to change how we think about clothes. It's not just fabric anymore, it's something way more structural. The big idea here is what's called structural textiles. Think about a normal t-shirt, right? It just hangs on you. But a structural textile, it's designed to be a self-supporting structure. It's engineered to hold its own shape, almost like a piece of furniture, and actually interact with the space around you. It's a total paradigm shift. And what's really cool is the goal behind all this. They're not just trying to stick a wolf on a hoodie. They want to create what they call a living facade on your body. And to do that, they use algorithms to design these super complex organic forms that are high relief, meaning they really, really pop out. It's like code is becoming sculpture. So how in the world do you actually build something like this? That's what our next section is all about, the hidden skeleton. We're going to peel back the crochet and see what's really holding this thing up. So, first things first, it all starts with the fabric. You can't just grab any old yarn for this. It has to be a really dense crochet, something that creates a fabric that's naturally stiff. It's less like the material of a comfy sweater and more like, well, like a rigid panel. That's your foundation. But here's the thing, that stiff fabric is just the skin. The real magic, the real secret sauce is the skeleton hiding inside. And that is what takes this from being just a piece of clothing to being a full-on sculpture. And just look at what this skeleton is made of. We're talking materials you would never find in your closet. You've got high-density EVA foam, the same stuff cosplayers use for armor to get those sharp, crisp angles. Then there's actual 12-gauge armature wire acting as a literal skeleton to pose the wolf's face. They use polyfill to add bulk without the weight, and the whole thing is built on a rigid mesh canvas that's like the foundation of a house. So here's the genius part. How do they attach this heavy sculpture to a soft hoodie without it just ripping or drooping? They use an internal backing plate made of felt. It creates a kind of sandwich. You've got the sculpture on the outside, the hoodie in the middle, and this reinforcement plate on the inside. Every stitch goes through all 3 layers, spreading the weight out so the whole thing stays put and doesn't turn into a saggy mess. Okay, so we've got this amazing structure, but it's heavy. And a heavy object on a flexible surface means you've got one big problem. Gravity. Which brings us to our next section, how they use math to literally defy it. Now this is so smart. Apparently, the #1 mistake people make is putting the wolf head right in the middle of the chest. It looks right on a table, but once you put it on, gravity pulls it down and suddenly the wolf is coming out of your belly button. So they came up with the 1/3 sag rule. You have to place the wolf's eyes on the top third line of the sweater. It looks too high at first, but it's designed to sag into the perfect position on your chest. It's basically planning for failure to achieve success. And just to give you an idea what we're dealing with here, the snout of the wolf sticks out 6.5 centimeters from the chest. That's over 2.5 inches. In engineering, that's called a cantilever, a beam supported only on one end. And supporting that kind of weight on soft fabric is a massive challenge. That's why every single calculation and material choice we've talked about is absolutely critical. Okay, so what happens when you need to make a size large instead of a medium? You can't just scale everything up by 5%. If you did, the wolf head would get too big, too heavy, and the whole structure would fail. So what they do is called differential scaling. As you can see here, when the hoodie itself gets 5% bigger, the 3D wolf motif only grows by half that, 2.5%. It's a non-linear solution to a complex physics problem. Okay, this thing is clearly a work of art and an engineering marvel. But how on earth do you make money from something so complex? Well, the business model is just as creative as the hoodie itself. Their strategy is called digital first high margin physical. What that really means is they don't just sell the hoodie. They figured out that the knowledge, the blueprint, the instructions, the 3D files is an incredibly valuable product all on its own. In some ways, it's even more valuable than the finished piece. And the proof is right here in their revenue projections. Check this out. The actual physical hoodies they sell in limited drops, that's less than half their income. Almost 40% comes from selling the how-to guides and technical manuals, and another 12% is from licensing the 3D files to other companies. They are literally selling the recipe, not just the cake. So how do they market this? This is where it goes to the next level. They use a completely automated, AI-powered system. An AI reads their technical documents and writes video scripts from it. Another AI generates all the slick product photos and animations. They even use an AI-cloned voice for narration. Then other tools put it all together for social media. It's a completely faceless brand where the engineering is the celebrity, not a person. So, let's zoom out. What's the big picture here? Where does all this, the engineering, the digital-first model, the AI marketing, where does it all lead? Looking at their roadmap, you realize pretty quickly this was never just about making a cool hoodie. The hoodie is proof of concept. The real product is the platform. They start by selling the digital know-how. Then they do small, exclusive physical drops. And from there, they plan to take the same architectural concept and apply it to things like 3D knit sneakers, furniture, you name it. Which leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. We're looking at a world where our clothes are literally engineered like bridges, and the ads we see for them are made entirely by AI. It really makes you stop and think, in a future where so much is calculated and automated, what does that mean for human creativity? Where do we fit in?